This is Ben. He has autism and cannot speak. This video is about how Ben finds his voice. Well, Ben doesn't really have a way to physically talk. He does have two ways to artificially talk, and the first one of them is Pro to Quo to Go. So it's an app on the iPad, so you go into different categories and such, and you can do different things.
Bathroom.
So you go into the different categories, and though the problem with this is that you really don't have many options except for what's put on here, and there's a lot of repeats. So the second way of communication that Ben has is RPM.
Later, alligator.
So RPM is a bunch of different boards with letters and numbers on them, and Ben will point to the inside of a letter, and sometimes he'll trace it out, and then he'll move on to the next letter, spelling words and sentences. So he's not very fluent right now, but people often get very fluent enough that they can write paragraphs, essays. People have even written stories, movies with RPM, so I find that really fascinating.
Okay, can we spell the rest of the word? Lazy. We have the L. After L is A. After A is LA. LA. On it, my friend. LA. Z and Y. Bam.
So you may see sometimes that when Ben is supposed to go for a letter, say an S, he really goes for a letter that's wrong, like a W, or something like that. Well, if you're wondering why that is, let me enlighten you. This is called tunnel vision, and it may just be how Ben sees the letter boards. He knows what the answer is, but he can't see where to put his finger.
Well, as his mom, I think it's my job to make sure that the world knows Ben as much as they possibly can. And there's limitations on that because people think that if someone's nonverbal, that means they're non-thinking. And I remember we didn't even know Ben had full language until he was about 2.5, like a lot of kids with regressive autism. And we didn't even know he was reading until one day I was like, okay, Ben, can you show me the tree? And he would point out the word instead of the picture. So for how long he was reading, I don't know, because he couldn't tell anybody he was reading. That was when he was probably about 5 or 6, which is almost an average age to be reading. And then I remember one time he was in the hospital, and he had just had his first seizures, and the doctors very nicely came down from upstairs because he was going to be staying overnight, and they came in and they said, "We understand we have a low-functioning, nonverbal child with autism here," basically meaning that they wouldn't get any communication out of him. And Ben picked up his iPad, which he uses to speak on, and he said right away, he said,
Cheese. I would like cheese.
He said, "I would like cheese," and then he said, then he went on to say that he would like to go to the bathroom and that he was ready to go to the car. And the doctor, at that moment, the doctor realized he understood what he was saying. He may not be able to say it.
I don't want to.
Sorry. He may not be able to say it because he's limited to what he can say on the iPad. He's also very funny. One time we were driving in the car, and he kept saying, "I want juice box, I want juice box, I want juice box." And I was just really tired, and I said, "Ben, can you say anything else besides I want juice box?" And he was quiet for about a block, and then all of a sudden I hear come out of his iPad, "Meow." And he started laughing really hard, and I have to admit I did too. A sense of humor is a sign of, high intelligence. And so just things he does every day, the way he puts things together, the way he takes things apart, they're in there, and it's our job to figure out how to let them show us that they're in there and to help them get that word out.
Because I cannot talk, I've tried so many other things. Learned RPM 1 year ago, It has been saving me from a life in prison. My social opportunities are limited more due to my insane mouth and body than the autism label. I am a man in chains. I am a man who always asks for more. I am a man in search of freedom. I'm a man with autism. I want to live like a human being, not a cog in your machine. Don't deprive me of the one method that cracks open my silence and stops the inner hurricane of insanity. Give me a chance to show you what I can do. Give me a chance to be me. Yes, I wish I had an education. Period. My education came to some end with my diagnosis of autism. Take this to all teachers. Have to believe in our intelligence. Yes, I am not in control of my body. I am able to think, but I am not able to do what my body and brain plan. Rethink what you know about autism.